Murray, who is the one footballer you love to hate?
Well, as you can probably imagine, as a Scottish football fan, a season ticket holder at Aberdeen for many a season, I'm not exactly short of potential villains here. Guys like Keith Lasley from Motherwell, Jim Goodwin for St Mirren, and every Rangers player ever. There's loads of them. But the one that sticks out to me constantly is the great pantomime villain, I would say, of British football, Scott Brown.
Yes!
Everyone hates Scott Brown, apart from Celtic fans. And the best thing, I think the thing that makes Scott Brown such an egregious character to most people is not just the antics, but we'll get to that. When he was coming through at Hibernian, he was a really dynamic, exciting, attacking midfield player. He could have been a real, thrustful, propulsive, important figure for the Scottish national team as, a proper game winner, a goal scorer, an assister, and all this stuff. But rather than pressing on in that area, what did Scott Brown decide to do? He decided to become a mad snapper. So he moved further back the pitch and he moved to the position where he could do the most dickish things possible, the highest volume of shenanigans, centre midfield, snapping legs, winding dudes up all game long. And he worked out very early in his career that the best way to win games wasn't to do nice football or any of that boring pish. It was to wind people up. It was to get in people's heads, get in the crowd's head, get people booing him, all that stuff. We'll run through a few of his classic moments. How about celebrating in El Hadj Diouf's face in that Old Firm derby a few years ago, compelling former Rangers manager Pedro Caixinha to ask him to elbow him in the head. There was the Scott Brown derby last year where he got Alfredo Morelos sent off for Rangers. He got Andy Halliday sent off after the whistle, just by being an asshole. And he compelled Ryan Kent to punch him in the face. And then he was asked by it after the game, and he just kind of shrugged. Little cheeky smirk on his face. And one time at Pittodrie, I saw Scott Brown score a goal for Celtic. They were 1-0 up on 21, 22 minutes. He ran towards the family stand. Somebody threw a pie at Scott Brown. The pie missed him. It hit the floor. Rather than ignoring it, Scott Brown picked up the pie, took a bite, and celebrated in front of them like that. Actually, you know what? Now that I've said all that, I think I actually just love Scott Brown. So, my real answer is Jorginho. Boring, passing, crab, prick.
Now, there are a lot of villains in modern day football, but this one really takes the biscuits. Joey bloody Barton. I hate everything about him. I mean, we could be here for days if I went through all of his incidents. Putting on a French accent when he played in Ligue 1, for example. That was almost excusable. And the thing is, there's other players that people might mention who've done terrible things. Mario Balotelli has done some bad stuff in his time, but he's just a bit banter, isn't he? He sets up fireworks indoors because he's a bit mental. Luis Suarez is a terrible human being. He's racist, he bites players, but he's phenomenally talented as a footballer. Joey Barton is none of these things. He's not fun, he's not talented, he's just a massive knobhead, right? Because he punches his own players. Darboe, I think it was, when he was playing at Man City. I think he detached his retina. He puts out cigarettes on people's faces or in their eyes or something. He tweets constantly. He abuses, former teammates, current teammates. He pisses off the teams that he plays for. In one of the biggest games he's ever played in, QPR Man City, of course we all remember how that one finished, but you forget that was a huge game for QPR. They could have been relegated that day. Forget about what that meant about Man City's title credentials. They could have still been relegated from the Premier League, and he still had to make it all about him. Punching people, squaring up to people, headbutting players, just trying to wind people up. Akin to Scott Brown, but nowhere near as effective, because as I said, he's just the worst. But some of the things that sum him up, I think, are the fact that he's got an England cap. How did he get that England cap? Just, knuckling down, playing really good league football and finally getting noticed? No, just consistently tweeting or writing football articles about how worse players were getting picked ahead of him and how he should be played. It's inexplicable that he has, I don't know how many England caps he's got, but let's say he's just got one. If he's got the same amount of England caps as the beloved super Kevin Davis of Chesterfield, my mind just cannot handle it. But take all that away. The personification of this dick is the fact that when I think he was on like a 12-match ban from playing, he tweeted that he was angry at the press for calling him Joey Barton. That's his name. Now, I realise he was christened Joseph Barton, but he has always been Joey Barton. And the thing that makes this even more inexplicable, aside from the fact he's been calling himself Joey Barton and never raised this as an issue before that, is that his Twitter handle is Joey Barton. I hate him so much. And now he's a manager, he's somehow become even worse. You.
Well, this is a bit different, right? Because it's not like love to hate, where it's like, oh, he's a bit of an incorrigible scamp, but I like him anyway. I actively enjoy despising Michael Owen. Not like, he's he got a bad temper, or he's good for a meme, isn't he? He's a pantomime villain. No, I actively enjoy hating him. I love to hate Michael Owen, because when he was at Newcastle United, my football club, he got injured. And then there was the distinct impression that he was like, well, I'm going to just wait for the World Cup, innit? Because I love England. Prick. He was a mercenary. He was in great physical decline, and all you had was pace. You weren't that good a footballer. So when you lost your pace, you lost your quality, Michael. That you are. I really don't like Michael Owen at all. And you know why I actively enjoy hating him? Why I love it so much? It's because I think he's incapable of joy. And I actively enjoy the fact that his life seems quite boring and miserable. There's a famous tweet that he tweeted out. He's watched 8 films in his life. He can't even escape how boring and tedious his life is. You know what he's really good at? The only thing that he's ever enjoyed and is really good at is basically every sport. So he's really great at darts because of course he is. He's got no life, he's just played darts. It's like he's like a jockey, or he owns a horse or whatever. Yeah. Really good at pool. Like his thing is that he's really good at sport. But you know what, Michael Owen? You're not that good at football anymore because you lost your pace and you had so many injuries that your career was brought to an abrupt halt. Get in.
Well, there's no actual good concrete reason for this, but I've always had an irrational hatred for the Milan's classic striker Filippo Inzaghi.
What's wrong with Inzaghi?
Nothing, I can't really say. It's just, he's a man Alex Ferguson described as being born offside, and he always had the habit of doing absolutely bugger all for an entire match, and then in the last couple of moments cropping up in a marginal position and scoring a winning goal with his arse or with like his knee or with no talent whatsoever. And he actually was a talented footballer, but he never used it, and I just found it so frustrating. And he used to celebrate with the sort of glee as though he'd just done something marvellous, and he never had. And I couldn't stand to look at him, quite frankly. And another player as well who I've always had an irrational hatred of is Paul Parker. Paul Parker, a very good footballer, an England international, Man United legend of sorts, but when I used to play Championship Manager on the Amiga 1200, he was always the butt of my ire. And I used to give him 2-week fines, just arbitrarily leave him out the side. And back then, like, the players didn't have happiness skills, so you could just do what you like, just abuse him basically. And that's what I did. And he'd come back, and then, are you back, Paul? See you again. Two more weeks unpaid. Just no reason at all. Just don't like him. Just don't like him.
Oh, footballers, I love to hate. Look, I shouldn't be in this video, and it's not because I'm not at all entertaining. It's because I don't love to hate footballers. I just hate all footballers. How can you even love any footballer in the first place? I'll give you a column. It's got Kevin Phillips' name in, it's got Niall Quinn's name in. They play for my team and they seem like nice guys. In the other column is every other footballer. I hate every other footballer. Should we fetishise Messi because he does mazy dribbles on Twitter? Or should we have a go at him because he should go to prison for not paying his taxes? Should we worship footballers because they're heroes to young? Or should we vilify them because they might be predatory around young people and go to prison for it? All of them are awful. If you worship a footballer, you will be let down by them because nobody cares about being an icon anymore, so they're going to go to another club. They might even go to your rivals. You can't worship a manager because they will let you down because no manager's ever had a perfect record apart from Alex Ferguson, and that's never going to happen again. Sorry, Man United fans. Never, ever going to happen again. Ryan Giggs, you like him? Yeah, he's probably shagging his brother's wife, isn't he? If not Ryan Giggs, every other football player, these are not the people to worship. These are not the people to support because they don't support you. We were raised on footballers that wanted to be icons for your team or wanted to be pillars of the community or wanted to try and give something back just by doing something they were gifted with the ability to do. That doesn't exist anymore. My nephew did this when Fabio Borini played for us. How did I tell him that he'd rather go back and train in the Liverpool reserves than play for his team? I can't. Why? Because footballers are slime. I don't love to hate footballers. I don't even love doing this because all I'm doing is shouting into the wind. I'm just shouting into the void. Punditry is a waste of time. Sky is a waste of time. Sky will tell you that Sergio Aguero gave you the greatest Premier League end of all time. No, he didn't. What he did was buy Sky 20 years of adverts telling you that football is the best because most of the games are rubbish now. The game's never been in a great state of disrepute, but Sky will tell you that Aguero gave you the greatest season of all time. Now, what happened is that Leicester ruined it for the lot of us because Leicester told all the big clubs, like, never let that happen again. You can't have just 11 guys trying their best. No. And as for Leicester, Jamie Vardy, great guy. Nah, bit of a bigot. You can't even like the guys. You can't even like the guys that are sort of like, boy done good. There is no happy ending in football. So I don't love to hate footballers. I just hate them. I think I hate the sport. I hate this microphone. I hate everything I've said to you guys. I got nothing else to say.
Which footballer do you love to hate?
I can't follow that. So I can't. There's just no point, is there? He's right. He's absolutely right. My dad was a footballer, and now I don't even like my dad. Thanks, Alfred.